Welcome to the channel, Shadows in the Night. Before the story begins, please remember that everything you are about to hear is entirely fictional. Created solely for entertainment, yet what is told here may still make you wonder, is fiction truly confined only to the page? Night in Hue is not loud like in other big cities. It settles slowly, as if every rooftop and every narrow alley tries to hold on to the last traces of daylight before surrendering to darkness. In a small rented room hidden deep inside a narrow alley, Lan sat alone at an old wooden table. Its surface was scarred with scratches, soaked with the musty smell of long-standing dampness. The window was slightly open, and a cold, wet breeze brushed against the back of her neck, making her shiver. Light rain tapped steadily on the tin roof. A soft, rhythmic sound, like someone patiently knocking in a slow, deliberate beat. Lan tried to focus on the computer screen in front of her, where an unfinished design remained open. The pale blue glow reflected on her face, making her already tired eyes look even deeper. Then she heard the sound of water. Not rain. Not the familiar gurgle of pipes when it storms. It was the low, heavy murmur of flowing water, as if a river were silently crawling beneath the floor. Lan froze, her heart beating faster. She took off her headphones and held her breath, listening. The room was so quiet she could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her chest. A faint, fishy scent drifted through the air, barely there, yet strong enough to awaken memories Lan had buried for years. The smell of fresh mud, floodwater, and childhood nights by the Lam River back in her hometown. She closed her eyes, inhaled deeply, and told herself it was just exhaustion. Her phone vibrated on the table, the dry sound cutting sharply through the silence and making her jump. She looked down. A notification from a group chat appeared. A familiar name that always stirred an unnameable feeling in her chest. Mystery and Science. A group of old college friends, people who seemed unrelated, yet were bound together by a strange shared interest, hunting for supernatural phenomena and trying to explain them with logic. A new message appeared. Have you guys read this article yet? The text was brief, excitement unmistakable. Lan knew immediately who it was. Min, her past, the one who had once held her hand through their student years, and the one who never believed in what she saw at night. New research on ultra-low brainwaves, close to a temporary clinical death state. Lan frowned slightly. The words suddenly felt cold. She had heard of such things, not from books, but from her own dreams. Another message followed. 0.0 megahertz? Sounds crazy, but if it's real, it can be measured. The text came with a smiling emoji, as if it were all just a harmless experiment. Lan exhaled softly, hung, always talking about machines and devices, convinced that with enough technology, anything could be measured. Sounds more like a horror movie than science. Another message appeared. Light-hearted words that somehow weighed heavily on Lan. She pictured Tuan's familiar forced smile, the one he always used to hide his fear. What is Min plotting this time? The final message appeared, short but cautious. Lan's closest friend, the one who always stood on the line between skepticism and curiosity. Before Lan could type anything, Min sent another message with a news link attached. If we bring the brain into this state for a short time, humans might see things they normally can't. Lan's fingers froze on the keyboard. She let out a dry chuckle, devoid of humor. See things? For her, that had never required machines. I'm thinking about a real-world experiment, combining science with folk legends. The three dots blinked for a long moment, as if the sender were weighing something important. An old shrine by the Lam River, my hometown, the site of the ferry sinking back in '78. Lan's heart skipped a beat. The room suddenly felt smaller. The air thick with dampness and a metallic scent. Old images surged back with terrifying clarity, the silt-red river rushing past. Cries swallowed by the wind. And a woman standing on the riverbank. Long hair soaked, face pale, hollow eyes staring straight at her. Lan swallowed hard and typed quickly. Her hands slightly shaking. No, those places shouldn't be disturbed. The message was sent, but the chill inside her did not fade. It took a while before a reply came. Lan, it's just folklore. People are afraid because they don't understand. The words appeared calm, rational, and painfully familiar. Come on, just to see. We're only experimenting. We'll light incense properly. Another message followed, the tone almost pleading. If anything happens, I'll film a vlog, just for fun. The text appeared with a laughing emoji. But Lan felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She put the phone down on the table and leaned back in her chair. Water stains spread across the ceiling above her. She had once believed that leaving her hometown, staying away from the Lam River, leaving the old stories behind, would end everything. But the more she tried to live normally, the clearer the dreams of rising water and whispered calls in the night became. Her phone vibrated again. Go, Lan, maybe if you face it, everything will finally stop. Lan closed her eyes. Outside, the rain suddenly grew heavier. Wind rushed through the open window, carrying a biting chill. In that moment, she clearly heard the roar of rushing water, not the gentle Hong River, but the distant, violent Lam River. And within that sound, there was a hoarse voice, drawn out, echoing as if from deep within the mud. Lan bent down and picked up her phone. The screen was still lit, the group chat silent, waiting. Her eyes darkened as her fingers slowly typed each word. I'll think about it. The moment the message was sent, the room fell into complete silence. The rain outside softened, then stopped entirely, as if someone had just closed an invisible door. Only the faint murmur of water remained somewhere nearby, growing clearer with each passing second, warning that some invitations, once spoken, are never easy to refuse. Lan did not reply again in the group chat that night. She turned off her phone screen and placed it face down on the table, as if afraid its light might awaken something lurking beneath the silence. The rented room returned to its familiar stillness, but this quiet felt anything but comforting. It was thick and oppressive, like damp air gathering before a flood. The musty smell clung to every grain of wood and every crack in the wall, mixing with the scent of rain that had just stopped, leaving Lan's throat dry and irritated. She pulled the blanket over herself, turned on her side, and forced her eyes shut. Trying to sleep, the wall clock ticked steadily, each sound so sharp it made her heart jolt. Outside, the narrow alley lay in darkness, lit only by a single dim yellow street lamp at its entrance, casting weak reflections over puddles scattered across the ground. Lan closed her eyes, but the darkness behind her eyelids opened into another place. She saw herself standing on the bank of the Lam River. The water was murky, heavy with red silt, rushing violently as if it wanted to swallow everything in its path. The wind cut through her skin, carrying the rancid smell of mud and rotting weeds. She looked down at her feet. Thick mud clung to her ankles, cold and sticky, each step feeling unbearably heavy, as if something were pulling her back. From far away, she heard a voice calling. She could not tell whether it was male or female, only a hoarse, drawn-out voice whispering her name, soft yet echoing unnaturally. Lan wanted to turn and run, but her body was frozen. From beneath the water's surface, long black hair slowly rose, tangled and soaked, drifting with the current. Then a pale hand emerged. Thin fingers stretched toward her, nails darkened with mud. Lan jolted awake, breathing hard. Her back was soaked with cold sweat. The room was still dark, yet the air felt heavier than before, thick with the scent of river water. She sat up, wiped her forehead, and tried to steady herself. "Just a dream," she whispered hoarsely, her voice trembling. "Just a dream." The words had barely left her lips when a small sound came from outside, like something dropping onto wet concrete. Lan held her breath and listened. A long moment passed. Nothing followed. She let out a shaky breath and lay back down. But sleep never returned. The next morning, Hugh was shrouded in early mist. Lan woke later than usual, her head feeling heavy, as if it had been pushed underwater. She brewed a strong cup of coffee, the hot aroma briefly overpowering the familiar damp smell of the room. Her phone vibrated before she could take the first sip. The group chat lit up again. "So, decided yet? We're going this weekend." The message read, short, urgent. Lan stared at the screen. She knew she should refuse. Yet she also knew that the dreams would not leave her alone if she kept running. "Come on, Lan, it'll help clear your head. You've looked exhausted lately." Another message followed, concern woven into every word. She closed her eyes for a long moment, then typed slowly. "How many days?" "Just 2 or 3. We go to my hometown." Then straight back to Hugh. The reply came immediately, confident, as if everything had already been planned. "I've got relatives there. We can stay over. Won't cost much." Another message added, as if carefully clearing every obstacle. Lan set the phone down and looked out the window. The mist still lingered over the low rooftops. She suddenly remembered her grandmother's old warnings, spoken every flood season. Stay away from rivers. Stay away from dark, damp places. But her grandmother had been gone for years now. Those words were nothing more than faint echoes in memory. "I'll go," Lan typed. Her fingers trembled slightly, yet the words themselves felt strangely calm. The chat instantly grew lively, emojis, jokes, excited messages flooding in. Lan did not read them all. She felt as if something inside her had quietly closed, like a door she had long struggled to keep open. That afternoon, Lan met Mai at a small cafe near their old campus. The place was nearly empty, the smell of roasted coffee blending with the scent of old wood, creating a sense of familiarity. Mai studied Lan, curiosity and concern mingling in her eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked, scrutinizing her face. "You look really pale lately." Lan gave a faint smile. "Probably just lack of sleep." Mai was silent for a moment, then leaned closer, lowering her voice. "I know you're scared of this kind of thing, but maybe facing it for real will make it stop, right?" Lan gazed through the glass window. People passed by outside, calm and unbothered, as if nothing frightening existed in the world. "Some things," her voice dropped, "the more clearly you see them, the harder they are to forget. You wouldn't understand." Mai sighed softly. "Yeah, I don't, but I'll be there with you." Those simple words eased Lan's heart just a little, though the unease still lingered. 2 days later, the group met at the bus station. It was early morning, the air still cool. Lan pulled her small suitcase, standing amid the noisy crowd yet feeling strangely detached. Min arrived first, looking just as familiar as ever, his confident smile unchanged. "You'll see, my hometown is beautiful," he said enthusiastically. "The Lam River this season, all red with silt, it's something else." At the mention of the Lam River, Lan's chest tightened. "Yeah," she replied quietly, "I hope so." The bus rolled out of Hugh before the sun had fully risen. Through the window, familiar streets slowly faded, giving way to fields and rows of bamboo whispering in the wind. The farther they went, the more the air changed. Lan caught the scent of straw, of damp earth after rain, familiar rural smells she both missed and feared. Min talked non-stop about plans, equipment, and experiments. Hung sat behind them, clutching a large backpack, opening it now and then to check his electronic devices. Tuan kept filming with his phone, forcing a nervous smile. "If something happens, I'm running first," he joked, glancing around. "I'm a coward, you know." Mai laughed. "You're scared already, and we're not even there yet." Lan said nothing. She looked outside as the Lam River finally came into view, winding through the fields. The water was heavy and red, flowing slowly, carrying an indescribable weight. For a fleeting moment, she felt the river's surface ripple slightly, as if someone beneath it were looking up at her. She shuddered and turned away. Yet the sensation of being watched clung to her, like a wet shadow that had just crossed the threshold. Lan had no idea that from the moment the bus crossed the bridge spanning the Lam River, something had silently followed them, drifting beneath the murky water, waiting patiently for the right moment to rise and reclaim a debt forgotten for decades. The bus stopped at the edge of the village as the afternoon wore on. The sunlight was fading, breaking into scattered patches through the bamboo canopies along the road. A weak yellow glow brushed across the damp ground, where the tracks of ox cart wheels were still visible. The air here was nothing like hue. It felt heavier, denser, carrying the raw scent of fresh mud and the sharp tang of river water, as if every breath had to pass through a thick layer of silt. Lan stepped off the bus, her feet touching the ground as a sudden weight settled in her chest. Ahead of her stretched a narrow village road, bamboo fences woven tightly along both sides, old tiled rooftops appearing faintly in the distance. A late rooster crowed somewhere. A dog barked from afar. Sounds so familiar they stirred something restless deep in her memory. "Feels good to be back," Min said cheerfully. "My hometown hasn't changed at all." His eyes flicked briefly toward the river glimmering behind the line of trees. Lan did not reply. She followed his gaze to where the dark red surface of the Lam River flowed quietly, calm on the outside, hiding something beneath that she never dared to define. They stayed at a relative's house of Min's, a small, single-story home near the edge of the village. The brick-paved yard was chipped and uneven, green moss clinging to every crack. As Lan stepped inside, the smell of old kitchen smoke mixed with damp wood made her slightly dizzy. A middle-aged woman came out to greet them, her smile gentle, though her eyes briefly showed caution as she took in the group. "Visiting, are you?" she said softly. "Come inside, it's already late." They greeted her politely and carried their bags in. Lan noticed that when the woman's gaze passed over her, she paused for a split second, as if she had seen something she was not supposed to see. Dinner was served under a dim yellow light. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying the rustling of bamboo leaves, whispering as if right beside their ears. Min chatted animatedly, talking about school days and work, trying to keep the mood light. But whenever the conversation drifted toward the Lam River or the old shrine by the riverbank, the atmosphere grew heavy. "That shrine," the woman said slowly. "It's been abandoned for a long time. You kids shouldn't go there at night." Hung let out a light laugh. "We're just going to take a look, ma'am." She set her bowl down, her expression turning serious. "Even looking isn't a good idea. A lot of people died back then. They say water spirits still drag people down into the mud." A chill ran down Lan's spine. She lowered her head, pretending to focus on her food, though every word, every heavy tone, reached her clearly. "I'm telling the truth," the woman added in a low voice. "Even a few years ago, someone lost their life because of curiosity." No one answered. The wind outside grew stronger, rattling the window lightly. Min smiled as if to reassure everyone, but the smile never reached his eyes. Night fell quickly. After dinner, the group sat talking for a while before each of them returned to their rooms. Lan was assigned a small room at the back of the house. Its window looked straight out onto the garden, beyond which stretched a vast darkness leading toward the river. She lay down, tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. The air in the room felt unnaturally cold, even though there was no strong wind outside. The musty smell mixed with the scent of river water seeped through the cracks in the door, far stronger than it had been in the afternoon. Just as Lan drifted off, the dream came crashing back. She stood in the middle of the river. The water rose to her chest, icy cold. The current tugged at her clothes, pulling them back and forth. Ahead of her, the woman from years ago stood motionless, her old brown shirt clinging to a frail body, long hair covering her face. Water dripped from her hair, falling with dull splashes onto the river's surface. The woman slowly raised her hand, her palm pale and trembling. "It's so cold," the hoarse voice whispered. "My child." Lan tried to step back, but the mud beneath her feet held tight. The water rose faster, rushing over her mouth, bitter and salty. She jolted awake, sitting straight up. Her forehead was soaked with sweat. Outside, the wind roared, and the sound of the river was unmistakably clear, as if it had drawn dangerously close. "It's nothing," she whispered shakily. "Just a dream." She murmured the words, yet her eyes were drawn toward the window. Darkness lay thick over the garden. For a moment, Lan thought she saw a figure standing motionless among the trees, long hair hanging down, perfectly still. The next morning, the sky was overcast. Heavy gray clouds hung low, covering the heavens. The group ate breakfast in a quieter mood than the day before. Min spread out a map and spoke about the plan for that night. "Tonight the moon is waning. Fewer people around," he said in a calculating tone. "We'll go to the shrine for a short while. Get it done, then come back." Lan gripped her glass tightly. "Don't do it at night," she said softly but firmly. "Can't we go during the day?" Min shook his head. "Too much interference during the day. This kind of experiment needs silence." Mai looked at Lan, hesitation in her eyes. "Maybe we should drop it. Min, this place just doesn't feel right." Hung gave a light laugh, trying to ease the tension. "We've got the equipment. What's there to worry about?" Lan said nothing more. She knew that once Min had made up his mind, no one could stop him. As evening fell, a light drizzle began. The entire village sank into a thin veil of rain. The dirt roads softened, turning muddy and slick. By nightfall, the rain stopped, leaving only a cold mist rising from the ground. A waning moon hung behind drifting clouds, its pale light barely illuminating the path that led toward the river. The group quietly left the house, carrying backpacks filled with equipment and a small bundle of incense and candles. Lan walked at the very back. Each step on the wet dirt road made a soft, squelching sound, as if she were stepping on something soft and alive. The old shrine emerged from behind a grove of bamboo, low and dark. Its walls were cracked, covered in moss and age stains. The wooden door hung crookedly, half open, revealing darkness inside. A wave of dampness mixed with the stale scent of old incense rushed out, making Lan feel nauseous. "We're here," Min said in a lowered voice, his flashlight beam sweeping across a headless statue of the river goddess, its eroded eyes staring downward. They placed the offerings and lit the incense, following the villagers' instructions exactly. Smoke curled upward, swirling in the confined space. The fragrance of incense mixed with the sharp, fishy smell of river water, forming an unsettling odor, hung powered on the device, its screen lighting up with flickering wave patterns. Tuan stood off to the side, hands trembling as he filmed with his phone. "Hurry up," he whispered shakily. "I don't like this place." Min crouched down and gestured for everyone to form a circle. "Relax. Breathe deeply," he said evenly. "There's nothing to worry about." Lan tried to move back, but Mai's eyes pleaded with her. "Sit with us so the circle is complete," Mai whispered, "just to be safe." Reluctantly, Lan sat down. The moment she closed her eyes, the sound of the river grew louder, murmuring right beside her ears. Cold seeped upward from the ground, creeping along her spine. On the device's screen, the numbers jumped erratically, then suddenly dropped. 0.0 megahertz. A blast of icy wind swept through the shrine, snuffing out several sticks of incense. In that instant, Lan opened her eyes. Right in front of her, within the thin veil of smoke, a figure was slowly taking shape. Long, soaked hair hung down, water dripping steadily onto the ground. A pale face lifted up, hollow eyes locking directly onto Lan. The woman's mouth opened. "Give my body back." The whisper echoed from nowhere and everywhere at once, burrowing straight into Lan's mind, cold and numbing. And in that moment, Lan understood. Whatever they had opened on this waning moon night would never rest until what it had lost was returned. And that was only the beginning. What appeared in the old shrine that night was not an illusion, nor a trick of science. Once the boundary between worlds had been cracked open, there were restless spirits who would not accept being seen and then abandoned. They would follow, silently, dripping wet, carrying the stench of river mud and grievances that had never been heard. Would the group be able to leave this village safely? Or from that very moment, had each of them already been marked, in ways none of them could have imagined? The story will continue in episode 2, where the first signs of the curse begin to cling to them, even after they leave the Lam River behind. If this story sent chills down your spine in the darkness of the night, don't forget to press like to support the channel Shadows in the Night, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapters of the story.